You've become quite the princess with that thumping at me. Oh. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Oh, careful. Good morning, guys. It's like first thing in the morning. It is now mid-February, and last year I didn't get to the Okamoto Plum Garden until it was too late. It was like too late in the spring, and apparently it's now plum blossom season, so I might go and check out the same plum garden again. It's like a revenge, trying to see if I can go back and make up for what happened last year. If you want to see what happened last year, I do have a video on my channel. Just kind of one of those situations where when you wait for good enough weather, sometimes it's just too late. ちょっと待って。はい。こっち。Bye, pancakes. Say bye to daddy.
Pancakes.
Oh, 寒っ。
Would be okay without electricity for
You like
longer
Philip
than 3
DeFranco
days
too?
to keep the federal government out of their business. Ted Cruz. Texas senator has been facing a ton of...
Okay, I'm all ready. I'm just gonna have like a cup of coffee. And before I head out, I want the day to kind of warm up a little bit because it's super cold and it's still quite early in the morning. So I figured I would just sit down and kind of bring up a topic, I suppose. Don't mind if you hear any construction noises. There is some stuff going on my balcony. So for those who have been following me a while, you probably know that when I first came to Japan, I came on JET program. I did the full time on JET program. Unfortunately, when you complete that full-time on JET program, it's really difficult to get on the program again. I know some people have lucked out and they ended up getting their contracts extended to be hired on as full teachers. I think that can really depend on the school that you're working at and your relationship with the school board that you have. JET program is more of an exchange program. It is not an exchange program in the sense that you're a student, but it's a cultural exchange program. They want people to be coming in. And as people come in and then they go home, they tell other people about the program, and that's how they get more applicants, and it just keeps the cycle going. But after JET program, I did work for a couple of English teaching companies, and then after moving to Kobe, I tried to get into tourism, but then the panoramic happened and tourism has kind of gone down the toilet a little bit. But at this point, they're still pushing for the Olympics, so there just won't be very many foreign spectators, which would have been my demographic. Anyway, so on Instagram, a lot of you know that I took on a part-time job. Working part-time in Japan is something that you can do in certain circumstances. Sometimes you can't if your visa specifies that you need to be working full-time in order to have a company sponsor you. So for example, if you're a student, you don't exactly have a work permit, but you can apply to have a work permit added to your student visa, which allows you to work up to 28 hours a week. Besides the student visa, I do also believe that those on a dependent visa, which is not a spouse visa, some people seem to think just because they are married to a person that has a company sponsoring them to be in Japan, that is a spouse visa, but actually you are coming to Japan as a dependent on your spouse. So it's a dependent visa, which is being sponsored by the company that has hired your spouse. And with a dependent visa, you can also work part-time for 28 hours a week, just like a student. A spousal visa, on the other hand, is sponsored by the Japanese national, not by the company that is sponsoring the worker who has a dependent. My TikTok For You page has given me a lot of people who are living in Japan who are either working, teaching, married, or here on a dependent visa. So there can be some like misunderstandings. The part-time cutoff is 30 hours. So even in Japan, if you're on a humanities visa or an instructor visa, some companies can still sponsor you, whether it's part-time or full-time, but they'll cut you at 29 and a half hours in order to not have to pay for your health insurance or other benefits that would be required if you are a seishain or a full-time employee. This time of year, like January is kind of when people start looking for jobs. February and March is the interview season, and March, April is around training, hiring season, because April is the start of the new fiscal year. So because it's turnover contracting season, this is the time to talk to your company if you want to change anything in your contract or leave your contract or negotiate anything in your contracts. But working part-time as a person on a spouse visa, I actually don't have a limit as to how much I can work or where I can work, which is pretty awesome. I'm only limited basically by my work experience and my qualifications, as well as language ability and skills. There's a lot that can limit you, but there's also a lot that can open opportunities for you if you have some skills from your own country that you can apply in Japan. English teaching is not the only way to be here. It's just one of the easiest. But even though I'm on a spouse visa and I don't really have any restrictions per se, there are some financial walls to overcome. If you hear any scratching, that's Pancakes. She's in her corner. A lot of companies will give their full-time employees like benefits. For example, they'll pay for half the health insurance as well as pension. It just makes things a lot easier so you don't have to really file taxes yourselves. When Americans first come to Japan, they do have to file their taxes for the first 3 years, I believe. But as a Canadian, right from the get-go, I didn't really have to pay taxes back in my own country because I was no longer working or living in my own country. I did have to pay residence tax every year as soon as I arrived. One thing that you definitely have to pay when you come to Japan is health insurance. This is something that's required. If you aren't a full-time employee, then it's usually the case that you will enroll in the Kokumin Hoken, or the National Health Insurance Program, as well as the Kokumin Nenkin, which is the National Pension Program. When I was working for a different English teaching company in Tokyo, I did enroll into the national programs. But after I got married, I was able to be covered by my husband's company because at that point they saw us as one household. So I was covered under his insurance. However, there is a stipulation to be covered under your spouse's company's insurance. So one of the first financial walls that someone working part-time who is dependent on their spouse for their company's support, there's a threshold where if you make a certain amount of money, you'll have to start paying residence tax. This is the 100万円の壁, or the 100 man yen wall, which is about 1,000,000 yen. At this point, if you go over that amount of money in your yearly income, you will have to pay residence tax. If you are under that amount, you don't have to pay residence tax. This is usually based on the year before. So when I was fresh off of JET from making a really good income on JET, and then I was unemployed student, it was a lot of money that first year for me that I had to pay because I had such a big income the year before. This year, because I didn't really work last year, I didn't have to pay anything because I didn't work, so I didn't make enough. The next wall is 103万の壁, or the 103 man yen wall, so 1,030,000 yen. This is the threshold when you have to start paying income tax. So if you are under this, then you don't have to pay income tax. There's the other few walls. I will link the article in my description box below. It is in Japanese, but I'm just kind of talking about the walls that I'm relating to at this point. But there are also walls that might be different based on your prefecture as well as the company that your spouse works for. So in some cases, there's a threshold for when the company of your spouse sees you as dependent or not. As soon as they see you as independent, they will no longer support you for your health and pension under your spouse. So actually for me this year, now that I've come to the recontracting season, when I asked my company to hire me full-time, they said that they couldn't hire me full-time, but they could give me more hours. But when we crunched the numbers, with the amount of money that I would be making, I would be over the threshold to get support from my husband's company for my pension, my health, because I would be over that threshold but still not really making a lot of money and not receiving support from my own company. When push came to shove, even working, say 4 or 5 days a week, the difference with the money that I would have to start paying would be about 8 man a year extra, which is 80,000 yen. And considering I have to travel quite far from my work, we kind of thought to ourselves, is 80,000 yen or like 800 bucks worth going in an extra 48 days traveling, commuting, paying for that? So as of this point, I'm deciding not to go over the threshold unless I can find a full-time position. It's really not in my best interest. If you are living in Japan and working in Japan and you are thinking about going part-time or negotiating your hours with your company, you should definitely look into these different walls that you have to think about at the end of the day. Every person is different and every person's goals are different, so I can understand how this might be something that isn't thought about right away, but definitely think about calculating the difference if you're working part-time. Those of you working full-time, generally a lot of companies have to provide support, paying for half the insurance and half the pension that they deduct from your paycheck. But if that's something that interests you, you can find the links to that article down below. Also, disclaimer, I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm just sharing my process and my experience as I'm going through it, because it's been something that had been like troubling me for a little bit. Adulting is hard. So if you can, please try to look into your own situation and see what applies to you. I'm just here to share with you my own either mistakes or decisions. Look at this. So this is the ramp we made her to the sofa, and underneath, this is the corner that you're hearing all that noise from. Hello? Oh. Tanoshii? Look at this. Look at this disaster. Yeah. Are you having fun? So we have started pancakes on lettuce, but she's over 3 months old, so she is having small bits of lettuce that we've been increasing every day. Is that yummy? We're trying not to give her too much right away because we want to make sure that she can digest it okay. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We cannot give her iceberg lettuce, but we can give her darker greeny leaf lettuces like romaine lettuce or sunny lettuce. もうこれ最後。最後。Okay. No more. もうない。もうない. So because bunnies are crepuscular, they will sleep during the day and at night, but they're mostly awake in the morning and in the evening. So I think I will head to Okamoto when it's closer to pancake sleep time. Now that it's 11 o'clock, it's almost time for sleepy time, I think it's time to go to your house. Shall we go? Pancakes, house! House! Come on, house! Good. And then I can close the door. So I've got my jacket on. The only issue I'm having is that it's so cold today, even though it's my day off, to go to Okamoto when it's this cold. Oh. Okay, screw it. I'm just gonna go. Let's go. Oh, it's gonna be so cold. So I'm just outside the station and a thought occurred to me that it's Friday, Boyo has the day off tomorrow, it's gonna be really warm weather tomorrow. Maybe Boyo wants to see the plum blossoms too. So I'm thinking that I should put this on pause and go with Boyo tomorrow. So I'll add that in here. Okay, so it's the next day because I wanted to take Boyo to this Okamoto biting garden. I just hope that this revenge is not another fail, because I went last year by myself. So hopefully I brought my good luck charm. So according to the history and the information, 40 different kinds of trees, but there's 200 trees in there. Does it feel like 200 to you?
No. Maybe 50.
Yeah.
Another yachatta.
No, it's way more blooming than when I came. これで本当にリベンジができたよ。本当に。Yeah, last year none of these were in bloom, and just one, this pink one, was in bloom. All the rest of them were out. I will say this, there was nobody sitting up here when I came last year. There's lots of people here. We even have like a photo shoot going on behind us. For me, this is the prettiest one. Definitely feels more like 50 trees than 200. They're well spread out over a small surface area though. What's your console about? Console? At least there was no like admission price, like paying to go in.
It's just a normal
Park.
Yeah.
Ma, I think every park is like that though. Pancakes, you're getting so close to the edge. You're basically on the edge, pancakes. You're on the edge. What if you fall down? I guess you're okay. You're not worried. Then I'm not worried. What's this like? Oh, sorry. ごめん。はいはいはい、ごめん。Do you want my attention? You grooming me? Do you want to be groomed? So I'm preparing hamburg tonight, so I'm gonna leave that in the fridge for half an hour before cooking at least. And I feel like because I wore makeup today, my skin's like about to break out. So I think I might feed this crazy one who's waiting and take a shower. There we go, all showered. I feel amazing. I even put on some self-tanner, time to let pancakes run free. All right, pancakes, do you want to try some parsley? Let's see. Let's try a little bit of parsley, maybe not too much. It's a very strong smell, so. Pancakes, you want to try some parsley? Is that yummy? Oh, yeah. So we're doing another DIY project, adding a shelf for pancakes. Daddy finished. You want to check it out? Look at that, you've got a little shelf. What's that? You can go under it. When you were growing up with Ghibli, which movies did you see? Mononoke dake? Pompoko?
Have you seen?
Pompoko?
Yeah.
一回見たことあるよ. I have Kiki's delivery service hooked up into my TV. So we're gonna watch that because Boya has never seen it before. Alright guys, I'm just gonna end this one here. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. ぜひ登録してください。あまり日本語使わないけど、英語の勉強になるかもしれない。If you'd like to follow me on my day-to-day, you can follow me on Instagram at Maple Sushi, and we'll see you in the next one. じゃあね。